right, everybody. Well, welcome to the training here. We're going to do this live. I'll be sharing my screen in a moment. And this is going to be on the fly, nothing prepared, no slides. We'll have a follow-up supplemental for everything we'll cover here today. For many of you, it'll be a review. Some of you are new. This is primarily for our new Moonstream mentoring students. If you're new to TradingView and indicator setups, I'm going to show you how to set that up. So I'm going to go ahead and dive in. If you're watching the replay, you can always watch this at a faster speed, and recommend that you do that if any of this is confusing for you. So with that in mind, I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show two things here. And so before I show you that, let's see, let me start with this screen, and then that's going to be a little bit easier to transition. All right, and let's see, I'll go full screen. Now on the left-hand side, and I'm going to pull up the participants. Looks like it's a bunch of you here, so welcome. And if you have any questions going through this, feel free to ask. So on the left-hand side is a chart that's sort of nothing on it. On the right side is lots of stuff on it. And by the end of this training, you'll understand how to do all that and how to add all these things. Maybe you don't want all of them, but you'll be able to and understand that better. Fair enough? So, and if you ever want to start over on your charts, just right click and go down, and I'm going to say remove 9 drawings, and I'm going to say remove 13 indicators. So now we have just a 1 hour and a 4 hour chart. I'll show you how to create those, and we'll get to that in a minute, but I'm also going to kind of clear out this daily chart as well. So we've got nothing on here. Even the alerts, I'll take that off. And of course, let's jump over to Bitcoin, which is pulling back a bit today. If you're wondering, this was pretty normal, understandable, and expected. When these things get so overbought, this was also a bit of a short squeeze coming back down, probably going to come back down around 114, but not really here to get into that. And but some basic TA, if you're brand new here, just let me know in the chat, like how many of you are kind of experienced traders or kind of new at this. And I think, we're not going to spend a lot of time on trend lines, things like that. But let's see, somebody's saying they're not getting sound. I was just on with Myrene, and sound should be fine. Thank you, Sam. Yeah, sound is good. So it might be on your end, Tom. Of course, you can't hear me. Okay, so just sending that to him. Maybe Myrene, can you help Tom? Cool. Gotcha. Keep going. So, all right. So where are you guys? I don't want to spend too much time on this. We're going to go fairly fast. I see some people in here that certainly know most of this. So what we're going to cover here, how to set up TradingView. And when you're first setting up, it's going to be in the light theme. So probably look like that, but kind of a big shock to our eyes there. And so we're going to go through the things that I would recommend going through. There's a lot in this platform. I used to like the white background, but I've since sort of switched over to the black. And so first things first, by the way, if you click on your profile up in the top left, this is your TradingView ID or whatever is in this box. That's confusing for a lot of people. It was for me. And they don't, when we ask for your TradingView ID, that's what we want here. In this case, it's my name. I'm going to go to the dark theme. I'm going to go back to dark because my eyes just jumped out of their eyeballs there because it went from black to white, high contrast to low contrast. And so just going to go through the menu. We're going to go through it fairly fast. I want to cover mostly setting up your charts, how to get multiple charts on a screen, sending alerts, the indicators that I use, both kind of free and then the ones we use. And I'll show you how to get a hold of the free Trader Success Checklist. So that's going to be helpful. But the very basics here, and I'll just say, nobody taught me how to use this. I just spent a lot of time clicking around, playing around, and finding things. I'm going to show you that and going to go all the way around here, the border, and give you a rough idea of what everything is first. And then we'll dive into a little bit deeper. So again, clicking on your profile up here, you can see how many alerts you have, and you can see your TradingView ID, your settings, billing, etc. And if you don't know, there's a huge Black Friday sale every year and a 4th of July sale every year. So if you're on the month-to-month, I would keep that until the Black Friday sale comes around. It's like 70% off. Anyway, I don't really use Home. Help Center, I've never really needed to use it. It's there if you want it. What's new? I didn't even see that was the thing. And let's see, let's not get off track here, but that's kind of cool. What's new? I didn't realize that. There is a knowledge base. Somebody asked recently if there's training on TradingView, and yes, you can Google any of these things, and you can also use perplexity.ai, which is a great AI platform. And let's see, that's from me, Tom, I guess, for your audio settings. Yeah, my audio is on, so your mute microphone might be muted. All right, back to the training here. Oh, by the way, I just drew a simple trend line here based on these two data points, 3 data points, projected out to 120K. Not a big deal, you guys. We also, trend lines, support and resistance has always been a thing. And to start out with the very basics, I prefer simplicity and not the big fancy crazy GAN fans and Elliott waves, Fibonacci circles, and all of that. There's a time and a place for that, which for me is usually never, but that's good news for you. And I've done it, but you don't need that. So basic trend lines, resistance, and the longer you go back, you can see that these things do play out. There's a longer term trend line for Bitcoin that we can see that goes all the way back kind of here and has held price. I am on a logarithmic chart, as you can see, and let's see, now it did hold here. I want to make sure I draw this correctly. It's a little bit and janky, although it's coming off of this low down here. Okay, but you can see on these long-term trends, pretty easy to manage them. And what I've recently done since the last cycle, whereas I used to just spend a lot of time cloning trend lines and creating these sort of channels like that, there's a great tool for this. And I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but down below are my favorites. And to have your favorites bar set up, I know we're diving right into all this, but essentially all of these tools on the left, if you just click on the star, it'll add them or remove them from your favorites bar. And I'm just kind of whetting everyone's appetite here. I'm going to go around and show all the tools, and then we'll get into some indicators. But this tool here, the parallel channel, is one of my favorites because you can just draw the lower edge or the upper edge. All you need are 2 data points and then just drag it up. And these are great for containing price. And so these are some of the things we'll have on there. Use the arrow pointer to move these things around and delete them. And Melissa, that's okay. You didn't miss too much. Yeah, I didn't miss too much. I'm just starting out. You can watch the recording and looking at some of the, so I'll just delete these off. We'll come back to that. I was just kind of showing, from today's prices, a bit of a pullback, some people in our members area saying, hey, what's going on? But we just gave back all those gains. Understand a lot of that was a short squeeze, but we needed that to kind of firmly break that 112K level, which was resistance, and now can act as support. So once you see these things, it's kind of hard to unsee them. And I've been saying, I think we should see a retracement and a retest of that prior resistance to go higher. You'll see these patterns all the time. So basically, for the price to come down, I think it'll come down around 114. Maybe it comes and retests 112. Wow, look at that. First live sneeze on live TV. No idea where that came from, you guys. I'm sorry. We'll edit that out, I guess. So anyway, with that in mind, let me go around. Thank you. And we'll talk about kind of how to set up. The point of this training is how to set up your TradingView so that if you're going in from scratch, how I would get it all created. So I'm going to just go really quickly around the border, and then I'll show you how to set up things like multiple charts on a screen, lots of different variations. For most of you, what I'll do is I'll show you how to do this so you can have multiple tabs open and always come back to them. All right, and this is something, let me just jump out and show you that, because there's a great tool called One Tab, and it is a Chrome extension. I recommend using Chrome. I think it works in Firefox maybe, and let's see, for some reason taking forever for things to load, so we'll come back to that. But it's a free Google Chrome input. So this thing right here, it says One Tab. If I were to click on that, all of these tabs will go away. If I wanted to come in and reopen them, you see over on the left here, if I want to open all of my trading tabs, my 1 hour, 4 hour, my daily, my different studies, okay, I can just hit restore all, and they'll all open up again. And I've got other things that I'm working on that this is how I keep everything organized. And every week for class, I just click on the restore all. And whether it's a bunch of YouTube videos I'm watching or mostly these TradingView charts. Okay, so you can go and just Google that. One tab, it's free in the Google Chrome store and not the greatest graphics, but works great. Huge time saver. So to bring that back around, what I use it for is I'll have multiple tabs open. So on this tab, I have my 2-column trading, 1 hour, 4 hour, and then on this tab I have a daily. I might have other studies where I might have monthly, weekly. You get the picture. Okay, that way you can put everything away and not worry about having to recreate it. So that's a huge time saver. Hopefully that will help you guys. And then for me, I'm going to go full screen here. I don't want to see the tabs. I'm just going to go function F11. Okay, a lot to cover, so I'm going to keep going. So let's just go all the way around, give you guys a rough idea and what everything is. And in this chart, I'll just leave this up here on the screen, basic trend lines. So we have things, I didn't even know there was a delete button there. That's interesting. Yeah, well, I showed that at the beginning. If you right click, you have lots of controls here, and you can go down here and remove all your drawings. And I'll get to a button in a minute where you can hide them all, okay? But right here we have a button I've never seen before, so I don't know what that is. New drawings will sync and layout. That's fine. But here's the one I want to show you. You can toggle these on and off again. See that going away? That's why I started with something on there. And this just says hide all drawings. There are hotkeys for many of these things, but I usually just use the clicker. Okay, so see that eyeball hide all drawings. Sometimes you want to show things without all the spaghetti on the charts. Here we have lock all drawings. That means they can't be deleted or removed. I don't really use that one at all. Here on keep drawing. By the way, where is my video on this chart? I might turn off my video because I don't want to cover any of this. So I'll just give you a bit of a wave. I'll come back on, but as we go around the border, I don't want you to not be able to see anything. So I'm going to hide that for now. Okay. All right. So we have that. We have this keep drawing. I don't use these, to be honest. Magnet mode, snaps drawing, place near price bars to the closest. So basically, you can turn that on. There's something called strong magnet. I guess what that means is if you wanted to draw something here, it's going to jump it to the closest area. And I find this actually a bit annoying. So I'm trying to drag it down. It's not letting me do that. So anyway, some of you might like that. I'm going to use the weak magnet because that kind of helps get it to where you want it to like that, but really doesn't do much at all. Anyway, I'm going to skip most of the ones I don't use. Zoom in, if you want to zoom in, you can use your mouse wheel bar, the wheel on the mouse. So if I go like that, it's going to go left to right. Now if I hold shift down, it'll go up. It'll kind of go like that. Also, you can click and drag in the right-hand menu like this for up and down. Okay, so mouse wheel left and right, here up and down. We're going through the basics first. Some of you guys, many of you probably already know this, but this is designed primarily for the beginners in the mentoring group here. So zoom in, zoom out. That's kind of like what I just showed you. Ruler, you can click and go here to here. It'll show you the advanced. I don't like that as much as this tool down here because as soon as I click away, the ruler disappears, right? So you have the ruler, but over here in my favorites called date and price range, I can click and drag it up there, and if I click and leave it, that'll stay. Turn that magnet off. Okay, so oftentimes I'll use that to kind of get an idea where things have gone or could go. Okay, so, and then I'll click on it here and delete that. So you're going to learn the most from just clicking around and learning these things on your own. And again, this is mostly a beginner level training. So I'm going to go from this point, I'm going to go top down because these start out with the signals that are, simpler to more advanced, and even down to images and graphics, things like that you can use on here if you want to. I'll let you play around with that and discover that on your own. So on the top one here, we have the arrow. Now the arrow within here, you have things like cross and the dot, arrow. I usually leave it on arrow. There is a way to put the cross on the charts here, like you can see, and a way to toggle that on and off, even through multiple time frames. So we'll get to that when I get back to the 1 hour, 4 hour. So in this case, if you want to look at different levels, across, you can do there. But I'll show you a cheat code right now if you want to do this with the arrow and grab a trend line. If I start a trend line here and I just hold the shift button down, see what it did there? It made it perfectly horizontal just by holding the shift. That way I just have to go left and right. And that'll tell me what price it's at, 108,684. Okay, so a couple ways to do that, personal preference. And then what else? So within here, now I've starred this, and that's what creates this favorites bar. And the reason for that is there's so many of these different tools on the left. Most of them you're not going to use. And this allows you to put stars next to the ones you think you'll use the most. So if I want to add the ray, I'm going to click on it. When I'll watch this toolbar down here when I click this, boom, it added it right down to the end. I'm going to take it off, but I wanted to show you that anyway. And let's see. So I'll turn that off. Let's see. In the info line, don't use this one much, but let's play around with it. So the info line, you draw a thing like that, and it's going to give you the height, the width, and the slope of this. But again, I don't use these. You can if you want. Probably if you're starting out, we don't. I prefer simplicity. And in that case, I'm also going to remove it from my favorites bar because these are the things I really use the most. And so anyway, coming right down, you can choose info line, like we said, extended line. This is for if you want to, sort of like the ray, if you want to do it way off in the distance. Some people talk about spider lines. I'm going to throw in some more advanced things for those of you that are kind of bored already. But it's so a spider line is something that if you draw it from certain peaks way off into the distance, they have apparently some meaning. So if we were to do that for into the forever, you know, these things sometimes will touch up. This is more for day traders, though. So that way, if you went into far all the way into the future, maybe even a year, sometimes these things come back into play. It's not really for the scope of this training. I'm going to focus on what I use mostly and what you guys can use to really dominate these markets. But it's useful if you want to do something like this and say, did that touch the top? And I'm not looking to the right. I'm just looking right here and look at that. You know, I would recommend spending a lot of time just getting to know these charts, because if I take off that white line I drew and this little thing there and this, so it got off a little bit, but pretty well called these tops and containing them. And so what we need to do though is get above this and turn it into support. So that's why that would be useful in that case. Okay. So anyway, just a little bit of an example there. Let me turn that off. You can always click on that and hit the delete button and it goes away. Pretty simple stuff. You're going to learn the most by playing around with it and getting down familiar with these tools here. So and for the rest of these, I'm not really going to go into. Extended line is like the ray, but both sides. A trend angle, if you want to do something like this, and then and this kind of trajectory doesn't really tell us much. I don't use this one, but you're welcome to. And I would recommend playing around with the ones that you like the best. Horizontal lines, I showed you how to do that with the shift. You can do it that way, horizontal ray, vertical line. Sometimes these are useful, but oftentimes not so much in the cross line. Okay, so I haven't favorited any of those because there's a bazillion of them in here. The parallel channel I did favorite because I showed you that a minute ago. So these are things to start really paying attention to. So a parallel channel, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. But a lot of times, you know, if you have two data points and you connect those, it'll create a top channel, and you can click again and drag it down, and it contains a lower channel, or vice versa. And a lot of what I've changed, again, I like simplicity. A lot of this is based on human psychology. I like to identify the trend channel, and especially new trend channels, as early as possible, because often we get multiple buy-sell opportunities within that range. Some clues that price is about to change course. Here, I'll just come back on video. Some clues that price is about to change course is if it doesn't go all the way down to the lower trend channel like it did these two times. Usually you get 2 or 3 touches and then it starts to revert. Now at this point we didn't quite get a higher low, but we didn't go all the way down here. So that was the first clue that this trend on Bitcoin was starting to change. And sure enough, it broke to the upside back here in April. And then we started to get a new trend channel here, and it was subtle. But once we break out of these areas, I always look for this area and to see if it can hold above the trend channel. So that's another clue that things are reversing. as soon as we can. I want to try to sort of draw these things so we kind of shot up here. We could reasonably sort of say, well, maybe this is the new trend channel there. And as I go, I'm usually adjusting it. And so certainly then we had this go like that. This is a kind of a work in progress, but as we can see, it turned into a pretty good trend channel there. Then it kind of went sideways into another one, which became a bull flag here, which is a term you can look up in line, and this now we're potentially breaking into a new trend channel. So where would you draw that? How would we draw that? We're getting a little bit advanced here, a little bit more, but not too crazy, right? You can do this. So we have two data points, one here, and as soon as you have two, we could start on the bottom side and go like that and drag it out, and maybe this thing becomes wider because we had this peak down in this range. Can't. So that's a good guess. We'll massage it as we go. But there you go. And any questions on that? Yeah, pretty simple. All right, so let's see. Moving right along here, we've got the cross-line parallel channel, regression channel. I'm not going to get into these because, you know, you get into analysis paralysis. Flat top bottom disjoint channel, never use these things. I have no idea what they are and don't really feel like learning right now. Maybe at some point I'll Google that stuff. GTS, Google that PG-13 version, Google that stuff, and just figure it out. But again, these are the ones that I'm using. And if you're following along and if you're setting up your TradingView along with me, that would be a great idea because then you'll have a toolbar similar to mine and you'll have not too much, but just enough. Okay, so just going down the line here, there's also things like pitchforks and modified pitch, shift pitch, things I've never used in my life. And, you know, there is a case for that. I've seen somebody draw them. It's very interesting. But because it's not, you know, these are never exact. These things don't always work. I prefer the simple signals that I'm showing you today, so you can ignore all that. All right, so moving right along. Now we're getting a little more advanced. And again, if you're confused by any of these terms, you can also always look them up online, and you could always say fib retracement TradingView. There are videos on these things. So while I have some familiarity with fib retracements and things, I will show you how to use these two. You can see they're on my favorites and won't need to use them very often. But you see the rest of these I don't use. I don't star them. The fib channel, fib time zone, speed resistance, this is really unnecessary. And there's a guy out there doing lots with Fibonacci circles, and he makes a great case for it, but he also has wrecked more traders than anybody I can count. And you know, don't get into all this. Men complicate things. I'll just be honest. We love to kind of figure things out and tinker, and that's where the discoveries are made. But you don't need these things. They're just going to confuse you from the basics. Fibonacci speed resistance arcs, Fibonacci wedges, pitch fans, never used any of them. Played with the fib circles a little bit, but it just was unnecessary, as I said. Okay, so that's the good news. You don't need that. You don't need Gann fans and Gann boxes and Gann squares and all of that. No offense to anybody out there who are Gann technicians. If you are, let me know, and maybe we'll have you on and teach us. Never used them, never really wanted to. Okay, moving right down along the same lines. Well, let me just jump back. A Fibonacci retracement, I'll show you that. That's about as technical as we get and that I teach, but a good example of this, of course, was the last cycle high-low and the one prior to that, just to show you these things can work. I'm going to clear out all the drawings that we had on there. So on the left here, I have my fib retracement. So you can do that going from high to low or low to high. If I go high from the 2017 high and I go down to the low over here and I extend it out to the right, I wonder if my shift button will do that. It doesn't work on the Fibonacci, you gotta eyeball it. But looky there, it exactly projected the top, the initial top of the market, and really this one here, which was a little different animal. But you see that? So that's the 3.618. Now these are Fibonacci numbers that occur in nature. The shell of the snail shell, the expands at these Fibonacci ratios as they grow larger. There's something to this. Some of it might be self-fulfilling, but 1.618, 2.6, these are Fibonacci numbers. I've simplified mine a bit from the default settings. There are some more in here like 236, 382. If you want to screenshot this, this is normally what I use for most instances when I'm trying to project into the future. And I'll show when you would use the other ones in a minute. So I want to have something for everybody here. And what you can also do here is down the bottom, you can have different templates. So this is great. So I have saved this as my new Fibonacci defaults. Actually, I think this is the profit targets. Yeah, and I have one called the golden pocket. That's a retracement I'll show you. But if you want to add in 0, 2.618, 1 point, obviously that comes first. 1 point goes left to right. 1.618, 2.61. I've turned the rest of these off because in this instance I don't really use them. Okay, if we were going to do, I don't want to confuse you. I'll leave it there. So you can do save as. These are my fib profit targets, and I'm going to just hit OK. I want to cement that before I show you the alternatives. This is about as complicated as we get. So if you're like, oh my God, this is too, just don't worry. You can figure this stuff out later. We're going to stick with the simple things for now. Okay, but look at this. Here's what's fascinating. If you're like, okay, well maybe that worked one time. The reason that I'm projecting and had projected 100K Bitcoin, 150K Bitcoin, and 200K Bitcoin is I did the same thing. Fibonacci, 2021 high to the low, extending it out, and well, a little bit of housekeeping here. Typically, you want to use it to the what we call the candle bodies, and I'll show you if you're new to trading how to select candlesticks over bar charts. It's just right up here, and there's a bunch of different versions of this. Don't need to worry about all of them. These are for the advanced people. Heikinashi some people use, and most of these I've done point and figure, just Kagi line breaks. No, don't worry about any of it. So if you're in here saying, "Wow, this you could just forget," just put candles. Okay, but when doing drawings, usually you're supposed to do it according to the candle body, not the wicks. So you have to zoom in sometimes. Anyway, with that in mind, that made this cycle 1.618 right at 100,000. I think I've misdrawn that though. I want to keep it right at 100,000. It's somewhat of an art and a science. Okay, so we are right at 100,000-ish, right? So pretty close. Right there. So 1.618, we came up, we hit 100,000, did a little bit of a throw over. If we use the candle tops and bottoms, it contained a little bit more. Again, these at extremes, it's going to have a little bit of momentum and throw over. So they're usually not exact, but pretty close. The next one, the 2.618, puts us right at 150,000-ish. A little bit of a throw over there. You can see my other studies on where I think things are going, 150K and then 200K. So it's right in that region, 148 and then 200,000. So that's just an overall lesson of Fibonacci. Okay, so we could do that, and then if we wanted to do it a little differently, I know kind of went straight to the complicated things, didn't we? But stay with me. Let's look at a different version of the Fibonacci. And so if we go from here to there on a pullback, that doesn't really work necessarily. But I'm going to show you a different way where we can make that work. But oftentimes, what I'll do, and in terms of seeing how high things will retrace, if we went from here to here, and I went down to a different template, my default settings, that's more for retracements. And then you see we have 0.5, 0.618, and in this case, see that's really interesting, isn't it? You don't need to remember these right now. If you're new, I want you to understand, hey, these things are pretty cool, and they often, not always, often play out. So from the swing high to the low here, low here to the high, I should draw this a little bit better here, but I pushed it to the right so you can see. They came down to the 0.5, the 50% level, and then bounced. And so oftentimes we'll go down to the 618. And then if we do it this way to this high, it came down and had some support at the 618. Okay, so just that's in case you watch me do it in class and you understand sort of how that works. I don't expect anyone to draw these just yet. All right, so let's keep going. I think let's come back to these. I don't want to get too far into it. The trend-based fib extension I will just show you, but we're not going to explain it. Okay, so that's more of a 3 points of interest, I guess. And so I'll go so high, low, high again, and what we see here is some possible retracement levels. Okay, so puts this out at the 2.618, retracement level there, and then that pushed higher. So there's multiple ways you can draw this, and they are areas of interest that you might see me use from time to time. Okay, so we'll keep moving here. I want to get to kind of the things you might be wondering about, like how to set up multiple charts, how to create indicator templates along the top row. Maybe you should have started there. And then we'll get over to the right-hand side and creating watch lists and things like that. Okay, so again, if this, I do recommend watching this again. We'll have it in our members area. And so with that, I'm going to skip all of these advanced patterns and XABCD, Elliott waves. Elliott waves are interesting, but not worth really spending a lot of time on for the most part for you guys. Okay, I wouldn't do it. Now, getting into these, these are some neat tools. Long position, for example. I'm gonna clear my throat there. So long position, I've favorited, and I'll use that from time to time. We don't do a lot with shorting. Come back on camera here for a minute. And then forecast, I'm not sure what that is. Bars pattern I use from time to time. The rest of these, I don't use at all. And the reason I say that to you is so if you come in and you're like, oh my God, I've got to learn all these things. No, no, you don't. You don't need to learn these. Most of these, not used at all. The ones I've starred, sometimes I'll use the fixed range volume profile. I'll show you guys that for those of you that are a little bit more advanced. I see some of you have been around for a while. So yeah, so long position, let's cover that. So this is a great way to show your risk in a trade, and I have it favorited here as number 2. And so basically, if we were, let me zoom in a little bit, go back to the pointer here, and I'll zoom in. From this point, if we were to consider going long on Bitcoin, at these levels, you would go and you could click on the price where it is now. This is a weekly chart of Bitcoin, and you see it's given you a couple things. Right off the bat, you see a risk-reward ratio of 1. 1 isn't enough. If you can get a 3-to-1 or more, that's worth taking. So there's 2 ways to improve your risk-reward ratio. The best way is to tighten your stops, raise that up. Don't take so much risk. See how that risk-reward ratio is going up as we go. And so I believe that the price won't go below 114K. Maybe we can go to a daily chart here a little bit clearer. And there's a couple of reasons for that. But if we want to keep a tight stop here, and I'll put it right under, I'll put my stop at this 113,874. Just if I want to round it up here, you can zigzag it. But you can even move it out to 13,000, whatever is easy for you guys. So this would be the buy price, and we're estimating a profit up here if it were to go to 139,000. Now that may be a bit of a stretch. Let's go back. I mean, in the near time, I think that's certainly possible, and 135,000 certainly doable. Let's use that as an example. I think we're going to 150. But if you were to enter this trade and wanting to know if it's a good trade for you, why is that so far out here? Because I was on the weekly. Let me bring that in a bit. Okay, so we're back to using this as a guideline. Again, using this to set your stop losses below here. I usually eyeball it, and I'm watching this number. Risk-reward ratio. Well, I want that at least 3 or more, or I don't take the trade. And again, you can tighten up your stops a little bit. I wouldn't have them too tight, though, because these market makers are very good at wicking things down on a stop hunt, hitting a new low, and then they run it. See right here, this down here, there's a whole bunch of people that have their stop losses, and that's if you don't know, that's an order on the Coinbase or whatever saying only sell if it gets below this level. And many people would have put it here because it would have been below all these other wicks down below. And I'll cover that terminology if that's new for you. But putting a stop loss, well, look what they did. They took out the stops and then they ran it. And as they do. And what was happening back here, pretty sure that was the missiles were flying Iran and Israel. So they scared everybody, stopped everybody out, and then they ran with it. So, it's a little bit of tricky business, but having a wide enough stop that you don't get stopped out, but not too wide that you're going to get wrecked. So in this case, the risk-reward ratio is favorable. And, and I think that's a reasonable price. We could also do kind of I could do a Fibonacci projection on that high to low. Where do I think this thing's going to go on that? And, right to 130,000 is that Fibonacci. So let's say we want to be a little bit more conservative. Getting a little bit a little bit more advanced here than I wanted to with you guys. So let's do that. Maybe that's the target. Is that still worth a trade? And again, this Fibonacci high to low, projecting the bounce. We came right up to the 1.618. Look at that, you guys. So isn't that interesting? So again, from this swing high to the real body candle low, if we use the wick, look at that. It's sometimes using the wicks is interesting because from this high to the wick low, the Fibonacci sequence, it rejected right at 120,000. So this is why Fibonacci's are interesting. So in that sense, maybe we want to look at this a little differently. This is a little more advanced, you guys. So if you're new, don't worry. But isn't that interesting? And typically it'll hit those once, pull back, and then it'll go and it'll blow right through that. But for the swing traders, day traders use that quite a bit. Well, what if we wanted to estimate the opposite? If we wanted to see how far it should come down so we could redo our entry. Well, I could do a Fibonacci from high to low like that. And, not saying this is what happens. We have possible retracements into 110 range. I don't think that we'll see that. There's another one. I'm getting in too far in the weeds here. I just want to show you this and see what we see. So 114. Yeah, so basically the 382 on retracements to the downside, 382, 0.382 and 0.5 are generally where things bounce. I think 114 is the level, so just below that. So I think 0.382 is where it'll bounce to. So if you wanted to put a buy order in there, I probably lost everybody in the room at this point, but these are not too hard to learn and to aspire to. So I think by seeing it takes the mystique out of it. So if you were to say, all right, this is the retracement level where I'm going to consider buying, okay, and I think it's going to go, what did we say, to maybe 130,000, okay, but I want to limit my stop loss here, say over here, and I'm just looking at this ratio, 4.67. That's pretty good, and we're taking the trade. So putting a buy limit order in at 113,825, just to round up a bit, or put an alert. Let's get into alerts here. So if you wanted to set an alert at this level, right click. There's a bunch of ways you can do alerts. You can right click, go down to add alert, but you see right up at the top of the screen the alarm clock icon is right here also, and there's a third place that thing is. Something I can't remember, but up here I'll just say create alert. You can do Alt A also. How about how did I get muted, guys? That was weird. Oh, I hit the, okay, so don't use Alt A. Doing up here it said create alert, and but that muted me. Yeah, okay, that's mute on Zoom. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. I see some questions coming in. Let me repeat that because I muted myself. So basically what I said is I like to right click. Again, these are two different studies here. If we want to have an alert, if it comes down to that 0.382, you can right click there, add alert. Okay, crossing down. And here I'll just say I'll do it 113. What did I say? 113, 813. Maybe we just do 815, kind of round it up a bit. And then there's other things I recommend going to the messages tab and putting in, you can do an alert name, a custom alert name. I just usually do a message to myself, and you don't need the decimal points, and I would just say fib 0.382 retrace, or just that fib 382. I'll know what that means. But you could write a novel in here if you wanted to, because sometimes alerts go off and you don't remember what it was. Notifications, don't worry about. There's some things here. You can play a sound, you can send it to email, send it to your phone, send a carrier pigeon. I don't think they have that yet, but lots of options. Okay, and I'll hit create. So now that has a vertical line. If you hover over it, I love this about TradingView. By the way, such a great platform. We didn't have anything like this. Growing up when I was trading, I mean, it was, remember my father had a Macintosh computer. Calling it black and white was being nice, and just none of this. So this is a really great system. So if you hover over that white line, it says and reminds you, and there's your message. Bitcoin crossing down 113,815 fib dot 0.382. So that might not make any sense to you. That makes sense to me, but that's where you can, that's why I recommend doing your messages, because in a day I'll forget all about what I had in there. So if we go back to this, our buy tool, what do they call that thing? The long position tool, you can hover over these. So that means if the alarm goes off and we consider buying it at that level, and we want to set our stop loss kind of maybe below this little zone in there, but we're targeting up here, we have a risk reward ratio of 4.3. That's okay. That's worth doing. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this, but that's how you use those tools. And so KS saying the 0.382 seems to be spot on in the middle of the daily vector candle. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Yeah, well done. That's exactly where you guys will get to. So a vector candle is, some people call it a fair value gap, but a vector candle, see these big movements where the market maker has allowed price to move a lot. And if you're new to trading, this doesn't necessarily mean that a whole bunch of buyers came running in to suddenly buy Bitcoin. You mean partially that, but the market makers can kind of move into a new trading zone. And so these large candles are where they let that move. And so what I've noticed over the years is often the midpoint of these big vector candles, what does it mean? Not really sure. Something people call it. Also, fair value gap is something you can go research. And essentially, this is where the demand from buyers and sellers was imbalanced. And that's why often they'll bring it back down to those levels. We're getting a little more advanced right now, but it's still worth noting. And so sure enough, that can take a while. This is the midpoint of that candle. We came down and touched twice. This almost got there. This did get there. So what KS is saying that this vector candle here, where we had that big move, broke into a new high, so that if it retraces to here, it would right at the midpoint, it coincides. And confluence goes a long way. Now, to a point. And then this little pattern here, again, I call it the fireman's ladder. So it goes green, 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 and then a little red hook. Usually means a short-term retracement's coming. But the rules of the game, though, right now with this bull phase, BlackRock's just buying everything. I don't know that we'll get there, but I have an alert. And these are just cool things to learn. So I'm not going to go any more deeper than that. But in reality, I think this goes to 140,000, 150,000. So if you have some powder dry, KS, you're an experienced trader, load up here at right around 113,815. I'd say 114,000. Just if to front run it a little bit wouldn't be a bad idea, because these markets tend to do that. But the risk reward ratio on this now is 7.5. I've seen risk reward ratios as high as 30, 40, 50, but those are less common. Any questions? Kylie Rose, well, this class is going to go as long as it takes, and probably another 45 minutes, but that's why we're recording it. And we'll have it at least in the members area for our mentoring students. But if you'd like me to cover anything while you're here, if you're short on time, you can chime that into the chat and I'll do it. Kylie, so happy to do that. Can you send an alert on the upper Bollinger Band only, Tom asks. Yes, you can. So let me get out of this here and I'll put the Fibonacci away. One of the other things you can do, by the way, and I'm going to just hit Control-Z to bring that back. Well, no, let's just keep a simple example. There's a neat tool over on the right called the object tree. And so if you click on that, it's going to allow me to hide this Fibonacci study because maybe I want to turn that on again and not have to fiddle with it later. And so you can go over under the little eyeball thing here and click on that and it'll disappear. If you want to bring it back, you guessed it, click that again. Okay, and what you can do, which is also neat, if you wanted to group things together, it took me a while to figure this out. It's a little confusing. Click on the indicator first, then you'll see this folder appear or ungray itself, and you can click on that folder and then give that a name. Okay, so we can just say call that fib and trend line, whatever we want to call that, and then you can drag the other ones in there. So the trend line I'll drag into that folder so that if we want to hide both of them at the same time, we just do that. Okay. I think what I'll do is, because I'm reading between the lines, maybe this is a bit more advanced than people were expecting, so I'm going to kind of revert back out. I'll do the Bollinger Band alert, and then we'll talk about how to do the templates of indicators and having multiple charts on a screen, because that's sometimes a question people have. So the Bollinger Bands, now how do you find trading indicators? There's this button up here. It says indicators, metrics, and strategies, and you can click on that, and there's a lot of them in here. And sure, yeah, thanks for the feedback. Okay, great, Kylie. And so let me do that again. It's up here. It's labeled indicators, metrics, and strategies. And so clicking on that, now there's a drop-down menu that'll also show you your favorites here, but don't worry about that for now. I'm going to click on this. Now we have in here, we have favorites similar to the other signals. If you click on any one of these under, let's just say, see technicals, these are the free ones here, and you put a star next to it, like accumulation distribution, auto fib retracement. There's thousands of them in here. You don't need many of them, but if you star them, they'll show up under favorites. So there you go. And I have way too many here that I probably don't need and don't use a lot of these anymore. But anyway, that's one way to do it. The other way to find them is if you go into personal. I don't use that. I'm not sure what these are ones. I'm not sure what that means. Okay, never mind that. So technicals is where you want to look. And then all I have to do is search for them. So if you type in Bollinger Band, okay, and the Bollinger Bands right here, I have that starred. I'll unstar some of these. These are some more advanced versions you don't need. But Bollinger Bands, so there you go. Now there's a key difference here with a Bollinger Band, and I have changed the default. Yours will probably show up as blue and blue, and there's an important setting change to make that we have coded into our Bollinger Bands. And what I mean by that, and I will just mention that we have our own custom trading signals that we highly recommend. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to give you the tools to succeed. These are what we use. You can find them at cryptomastery.org/pro. I will unabashedly put that in there and suggest you get them because it will help you make more money. It will save you from more losing trades. We've built them that way. I'm not going to make this salesy. I'm just going to tell you that when I first saw these, I was not working with the developer yet, and I made an intention, like, I'd love to work with this guy. Serendipity intervened, and I have a phone call somewhere, and was introduced to Joe, the programmer. He's a former hedge fund trader, quant engineer, and a programmer, and those are unusual combinations. So we partnered, and I made an accidental discovery called the ERI and the early reversal indicator, which is powerful. It's our first signal. We'll talk a little bit about these in a minute, but and then the rocket. The rocket's a great tool. It's a pattern that usually precedes a big price move. So these are shortcuts to making money, and the markets are tricky. If you're using regular off-the-shelf signals, you're using what everyone else is using. So Again, please go check that out. And I'm not going to dive into it. Just this is what we use, and this gives us an edge. So the Bollinger Bands that are in here, it's called Bollinger Band Pro. They have this important setting already built in, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. This is not a bait and switch, I promise. So with the problem with normal Bollinger Bands, I say off the shelf, the ones that most people use, is they don't contain price very well. And so in these, to fix them, I noticed a long time ago, if I changed the settings here, all of these indicators, if you right click on them, you can change the settings by going down in here. And just change the standard deviations from 2 to 3. Watch what happens, by the way. So see how prices are going above the Bollinger Bands, not really clear how to use them. I'm just going to change that to 3, and then magically they contain price almost exactly. Somebody out there just had an aha moment, because that's yeah, something we discovered. And I'm just going to make the lines a little bit bigger. Ours do this automatically, and but I like to see that a little bit wider. And I'm going to uncheck the midline because we don't want that. Whoops, the basis. Don't need the basis. We're going to approximate that with a different moving average. The question was, can you set an alert on the upper Bollinger Band only? I'm almost positive you can, so I'm going to do that. But invariably, when we go up and touch that upper Bollinger Band or get above it, we see a price pullback. See that here? See that here? People ask me all the time, when should I take profits? Either when we get a touch of the upper daily Bollinger Band and or in a sell block, which is one of our other signals. I'll show you guys. But I want to cover the basics. This is the setup. I want to make sure I'm getting all that in. Okay, alert on the upper Bollinger Band. So add alert on the at Bollinger Band. Let's see. So we want to do the what? I think crossing up. Not the basis, the upper Bollinger Band. There you go. And so that alert will alert when it crosses above the upper Bollinger Band. And the value as of today, no, this is value 120. I'm not sure, because this on the upper Bollinger Band crossing up value price BB20 SMA close. I'll have to investigate that, because I don't know. It's either asking me for the value, which we would approximate, but it should be, let me just test that. And if I put it on price value or BB20 SMA close 3, that doesn't specifically tell me. That says it on the symbol. I'm going to leave it as there. Now on the basis line, that's a little confusing. Why would it do that? Crossing up. The value crosses up. I think this is it. Yeah. So when the value crosses above the upper Bollinger Band, I'm going to leave that and see, and I'll give myself a memo. It's a good question, Tom. Bollinger Bands crossing up. Now this will fire immediately if I get it wrong, if it says 0. I just don't want it to be based on an arbitrary number if this continues to go higher. So I'm just going to test. And it might fire automatically. It hasn't. So, well, but look, it placed it right here. No, that's something else. It placed it on this red line. Sorry, guys, we're getting too far in the weeds. Let me get back to you. We'll see. What you can do, by the way, I want to show you this. One of the ways you can manage your indicators, over on the left, you now have an arrow, and I can see if I hide it, it's not there. If you click the down arrow, now we can put a little eyeball on it to hide that. If you have multiple indicators on the chart, it's good to hide them from time to time. And then you can also get into the settings by that little gear icon. Source code, didn't know that was there. Interesting. They'll give you the source code. Never knew that. Okay, well look, we don't need that, but that's pretty cool. And you can tell, like a lot of it, you can delete it. You can go into these other symbols, which is the same as the right click. All right, we're getting into the weeds a bit, but you can play around with those things. I've hidden that for now. Do you guys, what do you want to do here? All right, let me do this. I want to finish quickly these other symbols and the favorites. Won't go through all of them because you don't need all of them, like I said. And we got down to the long position. The bars pattern you don't really need to do. I'll show you quickly. If I wanted to approximate a timeline of what the price did. See this, I'm going left to right and I want to go high low. It will, clicking that gives me a bars pattern I can try and overlay. Sometimes we like to do that to give a fractal, which don't play out in practice, but sometimes are interesting. And this is the same thing I've used to project to a 200K Bitcoin. And so that's pretty nice and fun to use there. Again, we can use the object tree to go over and hide that over there. So it's still there in spirit. It's just not there. Can't see it. Okay, so that's that bars pattern. So short position forecast, the bars pattern I use, ghost feed, no idea what that means. Data projection, don't know. Anchored VWAP, fixed range volume profile. For those of you that are a little more advanced, that kind of gives you an idea where the majority of trading volume happened, and that tends to act as a magnet for price. So based on this swing low, the problem with this is it's hard to know which range to use. From the swing low to where we are now, the majority was down in here. Does that mean we come back to 95,000? I don't think so. But sometimes this can be useful, and sometimes you have multiple versions of it. So if I move that over here, might get a little different answer. You know, that would signify we come back down to 104,000. I don't know, you guys, but the bulk of the range is in here, and so it's kind of tricky to use by itself, but that's what it is. VWAP, anchored VWAP, don't need to do that, and all of that. So let's not worry about this. The one I do like is date and price range. So you'll want to favorite that one. Here's mine over on my favorites bar. So let's just do it from the favorites bar. And what I want to use that for is to say, all right, what was the date and price range for that? And so that was 100% move from Bitcoin from September of 2024. And if we wanted to see the move from, just delete that, the price move, this will stay on the chart also. From here to there, we just had a 57% move since April of this year. Beats a sharp stick in the eye, and you can leave those on the charts. We can also do one from, say, sort of January, where we had this bleed out where we came down 30%. And so, you know, that's the problem with markets, is if you lose 50% on your trade, you've got to make 100% back to get back to break even. That's why we teach dollar cost averaging, cutting losses, buying back lower to reduce that. But anyway, that's the date and price range. Again, go over to the object tree. We can highlight those and use a shift to highlight the other one, either one of those, and then I can create a folder and just call that something else. Call that date and price. There you go. You can call it whatever you want. And then you can drag these into the same folder so that you can turn them off and on at the same time. Okay, there we go. Pretty cool. What else? So moving right along here. We've covered those. I want to go to this one. There's a brush. I like the brush. What does it do? It lets you do all kinds of things. If you consider yourself an artist, you can make a smiley face. What I usually use it for is squiggles. Things like, what do I think Bitcoin's going to do? Kind of a bottoming, topping pattern, trend line. You can do any number of things. And you can also hide that with the object tree there. So that's in my favorites bar down here. What else do we have? We have I use the path and the circle and sometimes a triangle and a curve. I'll show you these real quick. So the path is this little doohickey there. If you want to create a zigzag, you click, 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 click there. And to finish, double click. That took me a while to figure out. So is it never-ending items. But there you can draw things like that. And then what else? We have the circle. I like the circle here to kind of highlight a certain area to pay attention to. And then this mouse pointer here, I'm going to get rid of this random little circle. So those are all in this area and in my favorites bar. The rectangle I do like as well to kind of show, hey, look at this range here to approximate the buy zones, things like that. And this also shows how the market makers kind of create new zones. For a while, Bitcoin was in a prior trading zone down in here, and then they moved it up into this new range. Okay, consolidated, broke out into a new range. Now we're into you guessed it, a new range, and may have just broken into a third range here. So we kind of had this range we traded at for a while. So the key is what I'm highlighting there is we're in a new trading range, most likely. So we should be able to break out into this next range and trade sideways for a while. Probably it's going to go quickly. But you know, you can do all of these things. You can go in here and hide them either individually. I'll just do that. And we're back to where we started. So have some fun with it. I think it's really a matter of self-preference, personal preference rather, and what you want to see and have on there. And you'll play around with all kinds of things. There's the brush, there's a highlighter, there's an arrow marker if you want to do that. And I just wouldn't spend too much time on all these things. And you got arrows and things like that. You can mark your charts up however you want to. The circle I talked about, triangles, you can get carried away. A curve is kind of nice. So if I want to show this kind of a bottoming pattern here, you can do that. And you can adjust it like that. You can change the colors down here where the color palette is, all kinds of things. And even do this kind of thing here. Boom, like that. Drag that midpoint up, showing the zigzag on that. All right, so we have made a lot of headway here. Going down to curve, double curve, I want to talk about text. So I've got the text feature, so you can do that and say, this is Bitcoin chart. There you go. That's pretty simple. I add that to my favorites as well. Anchor text, notes, price notes. Don't use a lot of that. You just tap on that. It'll tell you the price. You can do things like that. And sometimes I'll use these. Price labels, a little different. It'll just automatically add it in like that. So where are we right now? We're kind of right up in this 120, 17,000 price point there. Alrighty, signpost, flag mark images, don't need to do that. Yeah, you can copy paste images in here using Control C and Control V. If you want to put an image from your computer, you can upload it that way. Lots of different features in here to your heart's content. You can even tweet this idea. Well, look at that. That might be new. Insert a link to the tweet. I've never used that, and good to know. And then ideas. These are where you can publish your own ideas. You can also hit publish up in the right-hand side. I've been publishing a few more of these, by the way. If you want to follow along on kind of what I do, and we also have a YouTube channel, but I've been posting more to the TradingView. Just Google Brett Fogel TradingView, and there you go. That is not the right one. FOGLE TradingView, there it is. Not sure what I pulled up there. And then right up top, trading ideas and scripts. You can go in and pull up. These are some recent studies that I've done. Why have they gone purple? I have no idea. That's bizarre. But sometimes that's a bad thing, and it means they've hidden my idea because they think I'm promoting. But why are these in purple? I don't know. Well, I don't know. Something weird is going on. But anyway, you can go find these, hopefully, because hopefully I don't have an alert in here. Oh, they've hidden it. Bastards. They've hidden these because I violated the house rule. I'm gonna appeal that. I'm definitely gonna appeal that. All of that, just because I said links in bio. I put up 4 good studies. Anyway, you can find some of these ideas, the ones that are deer and black, and I say all these nice, good things about them, and look what they did. They've hidden the ideas. All right, well, it is what it is. So with that, coming back through here, we have price range. We talked about that, and this and that. So I think we've covered everything here. And you could put all these symbols in there. So anyway, good stuff. All right, what I want to talk about here next, going along, you can choose different time frames. And if you want to choose between sort of 1 hour, 4 hour time frames, you can do that. And what I recommend, though, is not spend too much time jumping between these. I would have different tabs. And what you can do there is jump over onto the version here where it labels your chart, and it's already saved. And then under this drop down, you can make a copy and then change the time windows. So what I'm going to do there, and then I'll show you the multiple versions. I'm going to, you can also create a new chart here, and maybe that's best. So we'll go create a new layout, or you can do make a copy. Let's say you have, let's do both. Let's say you have a chart and you really like it and you want to do some different studies. You can go in here and do a make a copy. And TradingView training copy, there we go. And that way you can have multiple tabs open. And so at this point, I've got 2 identical charts, but this one's going to be a little different. I can put different studies on it. And point being, therefore, you can have multiple versions of it. So for example, if I go under here and I go open layout, I have all of these layouts that you can see here. So TradingView, training, 2 columns, CMA Pro, and I can even search for them and do favorites, etc. All right. So with that in mind, I'm going to delete that one. I don't really want it. We're going to go into a new chart, and what I'm pushing closer toward is the multiple layouts. So I'll go create new layout, and I'm going to say 4 charts layout, because I already have a 2 chart layout that I was going to show you. But here, if you go open a new tab and hit save, now we have a blank chart, right? So up under this here where we see the layout setup. So maybe you're an active trader and you want to have maybe 2 side by side. That looks like this. So we've got 1 hour, 4 hour next to each other. Or you might want to have 4 columns. I thought it was 4, but it's 3 columns. And then what you would do is change the different time frames. Okay, and so it's a little tricky on the settings here. What we want to do at that point, under layout setup, down at the bottom, if you want to sync so they're all the same symbol, I recommend that, turn that on. And the interval, no, we want to have different intervals on these for the most part. And the crosshair, I do want the crosshair in this case. You can play around with that. Date range, time, I'm not so concerned about. So we can jump over here, and now I can click on highlight this one, turn that to a 1 hour. This one is a 4 hour, and then let's say this is going to be the 12 hour or the daily, right? So there you go, and you can have different studies on these as well. You go into your chart setups, and I want to just kind of revisit this. Let's go back to, and I'm going to go down to our invite only area. This is where you'll find the signals if you sign up for the Crypto Mastery signals. Are going to be in the invite only area, and they're going to look like this. They're going to be these little blue arrows, blue circles that say M. It says M in the middle for M3. Rocket, Alert Screener, Alert Pro, Crypto Screener, ERI Pro. What I'm going to do is the TSI Pro, the RSI Pro, and that's about it for now. I will also do the order block detector. These are the best. These are the ones we use on the most regular basis. Okay, so what we have here is a symbol of where the sellers are. These order block detectors, we visualize where those are on the charts. And down below here, we have the trend strength indicator showing a bullish turning of green and above, and it's sort of inconclusive on the lower one. I'll give you a quick lesson on these. But for the most part, if we want to open this up full screen, you come down here, and in the bottom area, you can zoom in. I don't really use those controls, but that one where it expands, and you can do multiple. I don't think that's going to work, the hotkeys, but here I'm going to go full screen for a minute and hit F11. So now we're on the 1 hour chart. The other charts are still there, they're just hidden. And so what we see here is we've had this downtrend in Bitcoin, of course, some sell pressure above, might continue. I don't see any buyers below, or we'd see a big green box. And by the way, if you want to expand the chart, just double click that. Hides the sales indicators below, and if you want to go back to that, just double click that again, and it brings them back. Another thing you can do on that drop down here, as we showed you before, if you want to hide any of these individually with that, you can do this. And it's interesting though, usually, yeah, and then down here individually you can hide those as well. Okay, and so I'm going to hide the RSI in a minute. The RSI is relative strength. But what these show are bearish divergence. These circles are bearish divergence, and these red areas are overbought. It's another reason Bitcoin pulled back. It was very overbought on the RSI. The bullish divergence circles are in green, so we've come down. We're on the 1 hour chart of Bitcoin getting a bit of a bounce, oversold, as we're also seeing on the trend strength indicator. And our rules of entry, I'll show you the trade success checklist. You can get that for free and download it, and it's interactive. It's a PDF where you can click on it, and it'll give you a trade success score based on pattern recognition. So if you see this green turning green above 20, you click that, it'll give you a trade success score of 1. If you see the RSI turning up from green, click that. That's also another one. When you get trade success scores over 2, usually time to take that trade. So let me tell you where you can get that. And I forgot to turn the ringer off on my my phone, you guys. So sorry for the confusion. And I'm going to turn that off right now so we don't get distracted by any more of these phone calls. So just bear with me here. We're going to slide that into airplane mode. Of course, today it's not working how it usually does. Okay, well, anyway, going back to that, and literally Murphy's Law alive and well here, so I will just turn the phone off. How about that? So basically, on Trade the Free Success Checklist, if you go to moonstream.io/checklist, you can download that. Free checklist is what it is. So I'll put that in the chat right there. So in the chat, you can download that. And yeah, that's all you need to do. So if you download that, you can follow along in here. Now you'll need to basically, once you get to that page, go to the download, because you need the actual PDF. And that's now up here in my folders, so I'm not sure on a Mac, but if you double click that, then you can see that it is interactive like that. Okay, you got that. So basically, with that in mind, now this starts with our indicators. We usually use that, but there's other ones in here like moving averages. So regardless if you have our signals or not, you can use it. It just works better with our signals, and we designed it to be that way and to give people an advantage. By the way, if anyone's in here from the M3 classes and you like the indicators, let me know. Kindly, the indicators are not free. Those are paid. Those are with partnership with my programmer partner. It takes a lot of time and energy to maintain those. The resources I'm pasting, like this checklist, is free, and you can use it with things like, is there a bullish engulfing candle pattern? Right there, one of my favorites. If you would need TradingView or some kind of charting software. That's not ours. But patterns like this, and so if you check that off, see that the trade success score went to 2. Is the price above the 21 and 50 period exponential moving average? I'm going to be talking about the free tools that I also recommend, and if you check that, you have the trade success score of 3 now. And is the candle body, so these are it's intermixed with setups that are also helpful. But when you have our indicators and the normal basic TA like I just showed you, your results will really improve, can compound, and I can guarantee that to be true. Your results will improve if you use them together. Okay, so the TSI. Now the ERI I haven't shown you yet. This is the early reversal indicator, but the one we were just watching, the TSI, that trend strength indicator, where did that go? Where I got sidetracked? Here, this one. So the TSI, can you see this? Green, turning green and above 20, and then going over to this area there is the TSI green and turning above the 20 line. So that's how you can really take the emotion out of trading, just following this pattern recognition. And when you get a trade success score over 2, take the trade and add to it as the trade success score gets bigger. I'm not here to really go over our indicators necessarily, although it is also a training for them. This class was for our new mentoring students, and I decided to make it open to everyone on our list. So yes, we will be going over these. And so if you're here and you're not in our mentoring program, that's closed, and we're not here to give you a sales pitch. Our mentoring students already have these. Okay, so what is your YouTube channel? Sorry, I'm extremely new to live trading classes, Kylie. Sure, you can find us at just Moonstream Crypto, Moonstream Crypto YouTube. Just Google that into the Google machine there, and look at there, guys. We just broke 1,000 followers, so awesome. And part of that was being interviewed on Camel Finance last week. That was cool. All right, so yeah, here's our YouTube channel. And let me turn that off. If you go toward the videos tab, I've just uploaded late last night a new video. Why did Bitcoin drop and what happens next? with a whopping 34 views and 3 views per hour. We're burning rubber there, guys. Some of these got a lot more views, but there's some good stuff in here, and so go check that out. I will even drop it in there for you. But the most timely information is getting out in our live groups and mentoring groups and our M3 Active Trader, just so you know. Okay, one tab I covered. This we have been talking about. Let me keep going with the example. I want to make sure that by the end of this, you guys know how to use all this. So at any rate, these are some of our signals I'll turn on, and I'm going to go get from the invite-only scripts. I want to grab the rocket, and I want to grab the alert screener, and I want to grab the ERI Pro. And what else do I want to grab here? Our Bollinger Bands, which are pre-coded with those special settings I shared with you guys. Okay, so now there's a whole bunch of stuff on the screen, and I know it's a lot. So let me show you how to do these. This is important for you guys in the mentoring. Once you have access to these, what I'd like you to do is on the ERI Pro and the Bollinger Bands, the way to drag, this is important, you have to drag them onto the charts. Now what I'm going to do first, see this arrow, I'm going to move that up in the priority, okay, to the top, and then what you're going to do is you're going to click on those and then click and drag it onto the chart and let go. See that? All right, now there's something very important also to do. I'm going to double click to open that up. Over on the left side, okay, you need to right click and go merge all scales into one on the right. I'll leave that up for a second. Merge all scales into one on the right, because essentially we have two different things on the same chart and we want the scaling to move together, otherwise it'll be strange. And I'll show you what happens if you don't do that. So the Bollinger Bands here, you don't need to move it up. I'm just going to show you how. Well, I'll show you that later. Just click on the Bollinger Bands and see the dots that arrive. That means you can now grab it and drag it. So I'm going to click and drag it up onto the other chart and let go, like we did last time. Now, if I don't do all scales into one, this is what happens. They don't move together, and we want them to move together. So again, right click in this left-hand margin area where the numbers are, right click, go down to merge all scales into one on the right. Okay? And the rest of this, just leave it as regular. Don't use logarithmic or percent or any of that. It'll bugger it. Okay, so now what we have on our chart is a couple things. We have our order block detector, so I'll turn off anything I'm not talking about. This is where we have visualized where the sellers are on the order block and on the exchange, in this case Coinbase. So this is public information. We just took it and visualized it where the highest concentration of sellers are. This is very useful going into selling areas or buying areas. I'll show you another example. And I hesitate to say that it's made trading very easy or much easier. Buying green blocks, selling red blocks. This is a 1-hour chart. If I were to go to a 4-hour, we could see a little different picture. We have buyers down below. The sellers are exhausted. If I go to a daily chart, the buyers are down here. And I make the joke in class regularly. There's an Italian restaurant about 4 or 5 buildings down, and it's called Lupa Verde. It's my favorite Italian food. And they all wear shirts that say, the Italians are here, right? And so this is a sign that says the buyers are here in green. We've shown you where the buyers are, and invariably, this is where price bounces in the midpoints of these areas, here and here and here. So we are waiting and watching. I'm glad we don't have sellers up above. $1 billion in shorts got liquidated yesterday in the last few days. We're actually mostly in this range here. A lot of short people at the 112,000 range got obliterated, including fairly famous day trader. And now he's found religion because he lost so much money. He was always religious. Nothing against that. But that's what people do when they lose a lot of money. They find religion. Say, well, it's okay. I have my health in God. Okay. Anyway, I'd rather have all three. Anyway, not get into politics or religion here. So Where was I? What else do we have here? I'm going to show the rocket. There's no rockets on this chart. The ERI. Let's talk about the ERI for a second. This was an accidental discovery. It's called the early reversal indicator. We had an old oscillator that we were going to deprecate. I'm going to show it to you against my better judgment so that you realize why we turned it into arrows. Nobody wants to look at the actual oscillator, which looks like this. And I will move it up and I'll go full screen just so you can see the alignment of the green arrows and the green lines, red arrows and the red lines. So the oscillator looks like that, but that'll make your eyeballs bleed if you look at it too long. I'm kidding, of course, but nobody wants to see this. So the oscillator we found, and a pattern that I recognize, when the price of the oscillator got down below 3 or touched 0 and back above 20 in 3 time periods, it very often would go to the other side of the oscillation. Similarly, on the upside, when it went from 100 below 80 in 3 time periods, red line very often completed the cycle. Otherwise, there was a lot of chop in the middle. And since nobody wants to look at that, I said, Joe, can you turn this into a better looking indicator with arrows on it? And he said, sure. And he added a Keltner band and some other quant stuff, so we can delete that and not talk about it. But anyway, in case you're saying that's cute, you have an arrow. This has been our flagship for getting in at the right time on the markets, both on the daily time frame, the monthly time frame, and getting out at the exact moment on the weekly time frame. Okay, if I go to a monthly chart on Bitcoin, I will show you that the ERI has only fired 4 times. I'm going to go to what is it called, Bitstamp, so we have more data. It has only fired 4 times. Oh, you know what, guys? I did not put this in logarithmic mode, and I should have. When you're looking at data over longer time periods, and I assumed that it would be, but because I created a new chart, I didn't get that. Logarithmic mode for older charts, because when you zoom out, you can barely see it, right? So if you're going to go past 6 months or a year, make sure you're in log chart. So over here is logarithmic. There's the other one is auto, fits to screen, doesn't really do much. I would undo auto and click on logarithmic. It's kind of hidden. It's important. So now we can see the bigger picture. And so normally I'm in log mode. At any rate, the early reversal indicator fired in May 15 at the bottom of the market. And again, in March of 19. Now, we didn't have the indicator then, but this is a bit of, armchair quarterbacking, but it's based on the same rules, and it would have fired then at the almost bottom here and the bottom here. We were getting in January of 2023 based on this, and a bullish engulfing candle and our arrow there. On the weekly time frame, it is more powerful in getting out of the market, and did get us out all the way back here at the market top in November of 2021. Right there is where I was saying get out of the market. So I can prove that. It was actually October. I was saying, guys, I think we should get into some cash. But this is the signal. These are our bear market red alert signals when they align. A bearish ERI, again, early reversal indicator. And I should have left the oscillator on because we didn't know why it worked at first. Later, I reasoned and realized we were following the footsteps of elephants. It takes a tremendous amount of volume and momentum and money to move price off that lower line and above 20 in 3 time periods. Does that make sense? Retail isn't doing that. Michael Saylor isn't doing that. He's buying over the counter anyway, so it doesn't affect price. But those are big moves by big whales. Similarly, on the downside, so this arrow on the weekly time frame, bearish engulfing here. Again, if you don't have those and you're sitting in free, you want to go over to cryptomastery.org and get them. You can pay monthly, you can do quarterly, but honestly, especially in this phase of the bull market, you need to have them. I would say sorry to be salesy, but sorry, not sorry. I'm giving you a huge edge at a nominal price, and they have become the backbone of everything we do, especially when we see alignment. Okay, so let me call your attention to something. I don't want to make it too salesy, but look at this. When these align, when we get these 4 things, the red arrow, bearish engulfing candle, TSI red below 80 right here, alignment and confluence, and then bearish divergence, that was the market top. There's a little bit of noise in between, but that's why we train to look for alignment. So let me do that for a minute for the mentoring clients. Would we buy on this green arrow here? Maybe, but probably not. Again, back to the checklist. We need to have at least two of the signals. Now, this was a bullish engulfing candle and a green arrow, so it sought a bit of a pump on the weekly. So in that case, yes. And in this case here, bullish engulfing candle and a green arrow. So what if how many of you would have been happy to buy here in July of 2021? That was that midsummer crash, by the way, right? And this is how I was getting back in the markets. We caught that. Buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here. These are auto-generated, not after the fact. So now in this case, green arrow, would you have bought here? Probably not. Just the green arrow is not enough. And now we did have a bullish divergence, so I might have started to build a trade and then added to it here. Those of you who are mentoring members, pay attention. Back to that trade success checklist, and I will pull it up in a minute. The other confluence is this green, turning green above 20, right in here, and in here. So where was I? And so, but this these things do roll over. I look for the inflection points at extremes for the most part, but let's keep going. What else do we have? We got now these bright green ones are money flow. Big blocks of money flow came in. Here's a trick too, is I have found empirically by watching, not only is that a vector candle, but I've found that these buyers will support the midpoint of these green blocks. And look at that, it did. The buyers will respect their previous buy. Big money came in, they will buy it. They will basically say, I'll buy it all day long at that midpoint of this price. So these are clues, these green money flow blocks. And then our ERI came in right there, had confluence with bullish divergence. This is in September of 23. We were getting in the market back then, September, October, and especially the AI stocks, coins rather. So when we had four things here for us. And so bullish divergence here, that green dot. You don't need to know what that means. I could explain it, but I'll lose most of you. Go Google it. And then we had the early reversal indicator, bullish engulfing candle, and then the trend strength indicator went green. I'd be adding to the position at each phase. Very important. Let me jump over that you guys. So again, two or more, generally the ERI, use with the TSI for confirmation. That gives you a 2 out of 10, 2 out of 20. I would start buying the trade. And then the more of them that come in, let's say there's bullish divergence also, and our signal line goes green, now we'd be at a 4, I'd be adding to the position because more confidence. Same as you should be selling at taking partial profits into resistance. Not all in, not all out. Those are amateur moves. Let's see, Kylie. Yeah, thanks for the comments. Sure would love to connect with you. And I just saw your comment. You're not disturbing me at all. Please reach out to Myrene, and any of you can do so. It's yipmyrene@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to tell you what we can do. We have some mentoring, Kylie, and live classes. So something for everybody, right? So there's different types of traders. Some of you are, I want to hodl. So we have the newsletter. Just buy these micro and hold them. We have a retire rich classes for those hodlers. For the active traders, we have M3 active trader, the signals, and I work one-on-one with people if you want to talk about that. If you want to talk about that, everybody, you can go to moonstreamcoaching.com. And again, I want to be clear. I am unabashedly here to say I want to help you, and I can do that best one-on-one. Most times, not for everybody. But you could go to moonstreamcoaching.com/start. Watch that video. And so, guys, here, this was first and foremost a training, but I don't want to turn my back on anybody that wants help. And yeah, Kylie, if you're not sure, you can go to our website. We have like an interactive video menu at moonstream.io. And that'll say, are you a beginner? Click here, and then it'll tell you where you might land. But happy to connect with you on either front. So moonstream.io. I assume you're on our email list if you're here. Okay. But Kylie Rose. Okay. Well, yeah, great. Be great to connect. Help. Happy to help. So she says, I've been self-teaching, but nowhere near what you're teaching, and I need this. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna shortcut 25 years of, blood pain and losses, and better to learn from other people. I've gone through it. I've been the self-proclaimed worst trader in the world many times starting out, if anybody can relate. But it's really anybody can learn the skills, and it's just a matter of knowing what to ignore and not pay attention to oftentimes. And that's a lot of it. There's a bazillion things you could be paying attention to. We've narrowed it down to what to pay attention to, and we've created some of that. So Stanford Wong, thanks. M3, especially love the buy sell blocks. Yeah, let's get back to it. The buy sell blocks. So where these are the buy blocks in green, and I'm just kind of giving you, the reason I'm going over this is not to, is to give you the confidence to say, this can help me. And those of you in mentoring that just came in, this is why you want to start learning these, because look at the buy blocks here. Price came down, midpoint of the buy block. Why? This is the Italians are here, the buyers are here. Isn't it nice to know where they are? Because otherwise, we've been guessing. I've been guessing for 20 years until I asked Joe, can you program where the buy limit orders are? And there's versions of this at the day trader level, liquidity and all that, but that you don't need that. This is where the buyers are sitting, waiting, money in hand, saying, I will buy at these prices. See, the bulls and the bears both need their turn, and otherwise there's no game. The red team needs its turn sometimes to make some money, and the green team needs their turn sometimes. Otherwise, they wouldn't play. Markets can't go up straight up all the time. That's why we have these times where the tug of war, the bulls are winning, the bears are winning, and they go back and forth. It's not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing. It's part of it. So our goal is to sort of follow the footsteps of elephants, and these are the tools that you can do that. So anyway, that's a weekly time frame, and want to make sure I don't leave anything out. The Bollinger Bands, of course, are also great areas for taking profits on the weekly time frame. So and I've sold some of you. My friend Steve Nissen, the guy's written all the books on candlestick trading. He used to speak at my seminar in Orlando called the Investor Super Conference. It was around 2007. I'd get 150 to 180 traders fly in from all over the world, and had speakers like Tom Sosnoff from Thinkorswim, John Persons. Never had John Bollinger. We couldn't get him, but damn it, I thought I turned this darn phone off. And basically, some of the top speakers from around the world would come speak at this thing, and yeah, it was great. So John or Steve Nissen rather told me that when the price hits one side of the Bollinger Bands, typically it will go all the way to the opposite, unless you're in a strong bull trend here. But here we saw it touch the bottom and went to the top, rode the top, hit the top again, then came to the bottom of the Bollinger Bands, pushed to the top, went almost to the bottom, but what caught it was the buy blocks and our early reversal indicator. I mean, these are the secrets of our success, and we've made it as simple, I won't say easy, I've made it as simple as possible, or we have rather, and Joe, the architect of these indicators, and one of them was, two of them were mine. But anyway, it's like the Wizard of Oz. Without these, it's really hard to know what's going to happen next. Is that right? It's like, the Wizard of Oz, everyone thought it was magic until they looked behind the curtain and they saw it was ropes and pulleys and gears, and so we now can peek behind the curtain. Look at this, just this alone. Boom, money flow came in here, held price, early reversal indicator, held, order block detector, buyers were here. That is enough to tell us to get in. Now, and we were back at that point. I know we had a similar situation back at 98K in the daily. Let me see if the rocket I want to talk about, but just not quite on this time frame. So anyway, these signals are very good in all time frames, and 1 hour, 4 hour, we'll get back to that. But here the buyers were right at that 98K. This is where that big scare came in. But look at all the buyers blocks. If you just buy green and sell red, you'll be doing just fine. And works on total market cap and all these things too. So these are some of the trainings we'll do every week. I want to finish going around the TradingView training. I don't know what time it is. We probably are going a little bit long, but let me just double check that, and we're good. We're 90 minutes. We can go a little another half an hour. I want to keep it under 2 hours. But anyway, so some good news here on the total market cap. We have gotten rid of the sell block here, you guys. Now we are hitting the upper Bollinger Bands, so some pullback here is warranted. And so don't be upset by that. If you want to become a swing trader and sell those, the problem is we all have FOMO at those upper levels. It's just generally these will revert down to the mean. We kind of saw this happen here. And so to come back down in this range and retest the old resistance, now support, look at that. I think it'll come down to 3.48 trillion and go. So this is where it should all start to come together, you guys. Let me move that over here, grab my little drawing tool and draw a squiggle. Oops. Sometimes it doesn't like to give it to me. All right. It thinks I'm trying to grab the other one. I'm going to just draw it here. And then what I'll do is move it over. This is what I think is next. Okay. Pullback. Might not come all the way down, but a little bit of pullback, and then we'll look for our other signals. You know, we're getting a bit of bearish divergence on the RSI, so another signal we should pull back down a little bit. Now, what does that mean exactly? Does that mean you should sell everything and walk away? No. It means you could sell a third, a quarter, half, take some profits off the table and buy it back lower. But in the parabolic bull, no guarantee we don't shoot up higher. I think we come back down and go. For most of you, I would just hold. Some of you, like we have bearish engulfing candle. I think to sell 25% and buy back lower allows you to compound your bags. And interesting. So Bitcoin's dragging this down. Total 2 is up still, and there we have a big sell block overhead. So I'm going to set an alert here at 1.49 trillion to take some profits. And now, sometimes it wants to do an alert on the order block detector itself. I don't like to do it. I like to do it right at the price of 1.49 trillion. And cross. So on total 2, condition price crossing up. 1.49 trillion, because what's 0.909 trillion among friends? It's a little tricky though. 0.49 trillion there. And hit create. And then on the message, I'll say sell order block. This is like, having a bipolar self and your multiple personalities, and you don't know what the other personality was saying. The other one can be the trader, and then you get the alert, say, oh, and anyway, only, I'm kidding, of course, but to remind yourself of why that alert is going off. Sell order block. Okay. Let's see. And DeFi is firmly in a sell block. I would be selling DeFi right now, and unless that clears, but I already have alerts for when that breaks. So what I would suggest overall is do create a lot of alerts for yourselves. Get the right tools, and and these tools will help you. And let's see if I can find a rocket for us. Okay, so I neglected to show you one thing for you guys that are beginners. Let me turn these things off and get back to the basics here for a minute. One of the things that we rely on a lot are moving averages. And so the moving averages that you want to use for Bitcoin are, and I've kind of gotten away from should be the 1 hour, 4 hour chart setup. So let me just go back to that and put it back how it was. So we have this 1 hour chart has been pushing up here, and the 4 hour chart also, I'm sorry, we're on DeFi. Get back to Bitcoin on Coinbase there. And so again, double clicking will give you this on the 1 hour chart of Bitcoin showing, I'm sorry, somehow I got that. So make sure when you click on multiple charts, the one that's outlined in white, then you can change the time frame up here. These are all favorites. They have some down in the lower left-hand corner. If your charts don't have these time frames, you can as I just did, click the down arrow here, and then you can create favorites on them. So I don't need 2 minutes. I'm not day trading anymore. I'll remove that. I don't need a 5-minute chart. 15-minute, 30-minute, I'll look at on occasion. 1 hour, I don't need a 2 hours, so it's making this menu bar less complicated. You might want to do that, but I'd recommend against it. Maybe 8 hours, 12 hours. I do 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 5 days on occasion. You don't need all these. I do a lot of the charting, but yeah, and there you go. And you can always create a custom range if you want to. So anyway, that's the deal there. Here's the one I'm highlighting. It's not daily. I want a 1 hour. 1 hour ticking up a bit. Maybe what's down here? Message panes. I don't know what this is. I'm going to delete it. And I'm going to go back to moving averages. Bear with me, please. And then this is the 4-hour chart and the daily. So let's put that on all of these. The 1 hour and 21 and 50 EMAs, exponential moving averages. So we covered here how to do different charts. Now you can modify this. I'm bouncing around a bit. I'm going to get off this topic. That's why if you want to go 4 1/4, you can do it that way. You can always go back to what you had it at. I don't recommend more than 3 at a time. But you can go you can have 16. Yeah, I don't even have enough juice for that. That's for the degenerate hardcore, but this is for day traders, you guys. You don't need any of that. I'm just going to go back to 3. Okay. All right, let me do this. Come out here. Get to, this was my daily chart. This was my multi. And yeah, so I'm going to clear all the drawings there, and bear with me. We're going to get into what I was talking about there on the, so why, for moving averages, let's just add in things you should have. Okay, so go up under here, under this chart, and type in EMA. That's for exponential moving average. They have moving average exponential. We'll also get an EMA ribbon, but click on this twice. Once, twice, that's enough. Sometimes I'll add a third. Okay, we can close that. Now, you'll see a blue line there. It doesn't look like much. We're going to click on that. And on the first one up in the left, we'll go over to settings. Okay, and we're going to change that. I'm going to change the color to like this orange. I like that. You can do whatever colors you want, but I'm going to make them different. And in the line, I'm going to make that a little wider. But on the inputs, most importantly, change that one from 9 to 21. In the old days, it was 10, 20, 50. Some people started playing around with 9 to get a little early, and that's fine. And then realized that 20, 21 was better, and then left it at 50. I don't know. This has always worked for me. So we've got that. And then the other one, click on settings, and we'll go 50. In the style, I like to choose green, kind of a dark green, and then make that a little thicker there. Beautiful. And you can do save as default. So I'm just going to say save as default. And so anytime I add a new one, it'll just add that 50. So it looks pretty good, doesn't it? And so here's an analogy for those of you that haven't heard this. Let me see the questions here. Thanks so much. I'm not sure I am mixed. Maybe I'm going, don't disturb your class anymore. Kylie, you're fine. Melissa, thank you. And yeah, thanks, guys. So trying to dumb it down a bit, affectionately speaking, this is intimidating at first. It is. And these are the basics. And I want you to know I've gone deep into the rabbit hole with a lot of these things, Fibonacci circles, and I found the simple is better. So that's good news for all of you here. All right, so the analogy that I use with this is if you're going to go skating on a lake, you want to be on ice, obviously, and you want to be on the thick ice, ideally. And so the 21-day moving average exponential is a moving average, an exponential moving average of the last 21 days. obviously. The 50 is a little slower moving because it's the average, the exponential average. I don't really know how to do the math on that, don't need to, of the last 50 days. What does that mean? Doesn't really mean anything other than the price tends to hold, and we could do a 9 on that. It's also, that has some meaning too, but it's just too much noise. It tends to hold. So here you have you're out skating on the lake and you're on the ice here, and there, look at there, your foot fell through the ice, but you managed to keep going. Skating along on the ice. Great. Uh-oh, fell through the ice. That thin layer on top. But fortunately, there's that thick layer, that 1 foot of ice below that. That's the 50 day. Now, if you fall through that, you're kind of in trouble there, right? But it's mostly going to hold you up. But if you fall down below it, this is where you're panicking a bit. And the point is, it's holding price. We can also put on a 200 day simple moving average. That's also impactful. There's a million other ways you can do it, but you don't need to. I'll show you that one next. But these are the two you want to have on. Where you really want to be paying attention is if you fall through the ice and you fall through the thick ice, and here you're like, oh shoot, I've got to get back above, I don't want to drown. But once you're below that green line, the 50 day, you're drowning. And you're trying your best to get up above, and I'm using you obviously as figuratively as a metaphor for Bitcoin or any of these. But when you're under here, you're in danger. You might pop your head up there and be a glass gasp of air, but pretty much you're hosed. And for shorting, this is a great setup on shorter time frames. I used to hammer these on the 3 minute, 5 minute, 15 minute. But this is not where you want to be long. You want to be getting out of the market here, and certainly our signals can help. It looks like on this chart I don't have them, so let me just go back down to invite only. Get the ERI Pro, the TSI Pro, and the RSI Pro, and then the order block detector. So just for now, that's what we need. And then I'll drag it up onto the chart, over to the right, merge all scales into one. Repetition's the mother of all learning. There you go. And then, yeah, I don't have Bollinger Bands on here. Don't need, well, do I want Bollingers? Not for now. Okay. So the point not to be lost is if you're below here, and interesting that we had a bullish ERI here, but no confluence. Well, we did have confluence. That was a rare fake out. And so the warning sign there would be, uh-oh, but we're underwater, we're drowning. And then this bearish engulfing candle here should have been the sign that you're done. Because look at this, boom, drowning, try to get back above, can't do it, drowning, and just drowning for a long time. It's quicksand. Until you can get back, you gather all your energy. Maybe it's like a video game, you get reincarnated in a new life. You come back above the 21, but above the 21 is not quite enough. You're Bitcoin's punching its way through the thick ice, and then finally back above the thick ice. You're alive again, whole new chance and opportunity. When these cross up, you see that's when the big buyers came in, when the 21 crossed the 50. So the early clues, though, the earliest clue was back here in April of 25 this year, when we had a bullish engulfing candle. That just means the big green candle engulfs the red one, and the buyers are back. We had an ERI. This came from below above 20. So we're checking off all those bullish things, bullish divergence on the RSI. So 1, 2, 3 signals. You look, hindsight, I get it, but this is what we look for. And that would have been the ideal entry. And then later on, we had more buyers coming in, that crossover. So, this is pattern recognition. How many of you have been to college and passed and got through it? A C gets you through. And that's good, because at the bank, when you deposit your money, they don't ask you how smart you are or how hard you worked for it. Is that right? So, point is, you can learn this and watch for these things. Wizard of Oz, here are the Wizard of Oz boxes. I think I'm going to call them that, because that means there's a lot of buyers with more that'll just buy as much as they can if it comes back to 98. How many of you wish you had another chance to buy at 98,000? Yeah, obviously. These guys knew, and they knew they weren't going to, they might let you get it down there once, because Israel and Iran were playing war games over there, and I don't mean to dismiss it, but that's spooked the market. And then again, what did we have? Bullish engulfing candle, bullish ERI, bullish TSI. That's enough. Buy blocks. Off we go. Okay, so what do you think we're looking for next? And we're back above the thick ice. Well, I mean, a pull back down here to retest and let these things consolidate, and then another green candle, that's what we'd really like to see. A little bit less certain, more certain here, more certain here. Okay, so with that in mind, I want to show you something else on the moving average side. If you say a simple moving average, SMA, that's moving average simple. For longer term trends, we want to just basically do this. You can keep it as blue. I'd make it a little thicker. On the input side, I go to 200. And this is kind of a broader based line in the sand, for lack of a better word, and turning off some of these other signals here. It hasn't always done a good job, but if it's above the 200 SMA, generally we're bullish. When we're below, generally bearish. Back here, May of 2020, got back above all three of these. And had you been watching that, well, we just only went up about 680, 700%, 7x. Got below the 200 SMA, drowning, tried to get above, barely got above, boom, here, rejected. That was the beginning of the end, April 2022. But back here, January of 23, again, we were getting in that market. Our ERI called that on that monthly time frame. Was it weekly or monthly? And anyway, I don't mean, this is starting to sound like a salesy, but I get excited because look at it, on the weekly time frame, the 200 SMA caught this, the bottom, the COVID bottom. This one got under us, but once we're back above all those, it's party time. All right. At any rate, any questions, you guys? All right, good to hear that you guys are getting it and haven't lost anybody. And so just going back around on this, I want to make sure we covered all the left signals and everything you need to know there, all the time frames up above. I showed you how to change from bar pattern if you're an old school trader and you like those. More power to you. I don't like these myself because I like the ability to see candlesticks and candle patterns. And by the way, if you're in the mentoring program, you have cheat sheets, high probability candlestick patterns and other trade patterns, just to kind of give you that. So make sure you look for those under the bonuses. So, I mean, anyway, I'm not going to get into TA on this class. By the way, we do our Wednesday, if any of this makes sense to you, look at our M3 class. I do this type of class, mostly looking at charts and less training on the signals. That's at moonstream.io/M3. And that also gives you daily chat access to me. Kylie might be of interest. But every day I'm doing a short video, screenshots, chat with some other smart traders, looking at this kind of thing. Great way to learn by immersion and just sort of follow along. Because, repetition's the mother of all learning. A lot of it is repetition. And that's how, there's an old saying that you don't understand something until you can explain it to someone else so that they understand. Think about that. And many of my M3 traders are now at the point where they are helping teach other students. And that's by design. That's so that you learn it better. Because if you start sharing and teaching someone else, you're cementing that in your own mind, and it's sort of conscious competence. The 4 levels of learning. There's unconscious incompetence. You're terrible at it and you don't even know. There's conscious incompetence. You're bad at it. And then there's unconscious competence, like you're actually better at it, but you still don't really realize it. And then conscious competence, you're good at it and you're good at it because, you can teach someone else. And so these are all the 4 phases of learning. And there's also 7 stages of belief, just for kind of fun and games. The first stage is, this is crazy bullshit. Second phase is, well, maybe that would work. Third phase, maybe that would work for someone else. Fourth phase, maybe that would work for me. Fifth phase is, I think I can do that. Next phase is, I think I want this someday. And then the last phase is, I want this right now. But we have to go through those phases. I'm going to teach another pattern here, by the way, that's staring us glaringly in the face, that I'll turn some of the other ones off so that it's not so confusing, but, and then we'll come back to it, but this is called a cup and handle pattern. And I have actually a tool for this, and I just clicked on the wrong one. I clicked on head and shoulders. But a cup and a handle is basically, think of a pot full of water and a handle, and you got the water in the pot. I learned this 25 years ago, by the way. The old school stuff never goes away. So that's the cup and the handle. When you break above the handle, that's when it goes. That's partially why that thing popped and the shorts got annihilated. The measured move from that is the sort of the top of the pot to the bottom. I could have drawn that better. That is the bottom of the pot. Generally after the breakout, that's how high it'll go. So I put that there, and where do we see that going? That goes to 164,000. I think we can get there. Based on my other studies there, that TradingView is hidden. I'm going to peel that, by the way. They definitely shouldn't have hidden those. Okay, so basically that's the cup and handle pattern. What I want to show you here, I'll put that away. There's one other indicator I really like. You guys might, hopefully you're taking notes, by the way, and it's called the EMA ribbon. And what that is, it's essentially the same as the 21 and 50-day exponential moving averages, but it adds in a bunch of other ones. And you don't need to know that. It's just easier to spot. But if you're curious what they are, I don't even know. 20, 25, 30, so it doesn't matter. What we look for is when they tighten together and then price gets back above, like back in here, October 24, boom, right here. April of 25. Usually once a year we see that. And these are the ideal buying times where if you just did that, you could have done very well. October 23 is another time. Where is that? Here, January of Feb 24. Here, October of 23. Look at this, you guys. If you just did that, getting above that, I mean, it's never easy in the moment, but that would have been 80% gain there. Potentially, look, doesn't mean there's always reasons we don't, because things like war and recession and other scary things. But the charts don't lie. That was 80%, another 80%. These are 80% moves when they happen. There's another one, and there's another one. Well, not quite. It's still working on it. Okay, so that's the EMA ribbon, one to have. Let's see, that's mostly what all I use. I don't want to get into anything more advanced, and there's that you don't need. So basically, we covered candlesticks. We covered the. Let me show you this. So this is neat. So let's say that whenever you want to load a new chart, or you want to save a setup. Haven't even taught this to you guys in M3 yet. The indicator templates. If you click on that, and it'll basically let you save the templates or load them. And these are old. SM Pro Pack, this is even an old one. Rocket, Auto, Assist, Stochastics. I'm going to delete that one because it's old. Let's create a new one. So on my new template, I want to have my my ERI, early reversal indicator. And again, you can learn more about what these are at cryptomastery.org. It shows these are the signals. There's 10 of them, and I'm going to show you the rocket. Make sure I show you the rocket and the signal line. Make sure I don't leave any out. I can show you the rocket on this here, so let me come back to that because that's really neat. And so for creating a new template, I want to have my signal line, which is our version of a MACD combined with a few other things. And I want to have Bollinger Bands and everything else I think I have. Crypto screener. Do the crypto screener. Do I have the rocket yet? I want them all on here. There. Even if I'll hide some of them here in a minute. Okay, don't look at this just yet. So the screeners need, this is something that you guys don't know you have even yet. This is a way to look at that, you guys. That was all red a couple weeks ago, And basically, this is a screener for your favorite 8 cryptos for RSI and stochastics RSI. Can't see the label there, but they're all green. And these are institutional signals. They still use that stuff. And if you want to change which ones are in there, change them to your top 10, right click, go to inputs, and you can change them. So I have Bitcoin is number 1. That's ticker number 1. Ticker number 2 is ETH. Litecoin, I don't really want to follow Litecoin, but I can move Solana up and do Sol. Let's just do that, show you how that works on Coinbase. So that's 2 XRP. I mean, I guess Sol is in here twice. I want to look at Ondo here. And this is my watch list. These are some of the ones in the ideal portfolio. By the way, hopefully you guys saw the video last night prior to the new mentoring guidance for how I'll be in the Google Doc model portfolio. We figured out how to, whenever I update the model portfolio, it'll send you an email alert so you can modify your own. And so everyone else, sorry, the mentoring's closed right now, but that's what we're doing. AVAX near ADA, anything else? So anyway, point is you can have your top 8 coins in here and it'll show. And as of now, they're all green. So everything is kind of in buy territory. Oh, the one thing I didn't show you guys, by the way, that's one of these that I forgot about. It's in one of the oldest ones. It's called the radar. Might seem like overkill, but so this is looking at 8 coins at a glance, the screener. This is the radar, multi-time frame radar for each individual coin. When this is all green, green is go, time to buy. Daily is bearish. Weekly, monthly, quarterly, still bullish. That's why I'm still bullish. We created this right after December of 2021. We'd launched our Moonstream newsletter again, and our pick was Thorchain Rune. That was my pick. It was up 159% in those 3 weeks since December 1st. In 2 weeks, it was up that much. Unless it was the November pick. I can't remember. But I think it was December, and I was pounding the table. Guys, you got to get into this. And then the markets crashed. And I thought, we need a tool to alert everybody so they can see, hey, I need to get out, okay? And that's where we created the multi-time frame radar. So when this goes all red, it's time to get out of the markets. So that's part of the Pro Pack in there. Let me just hide this, and then EMA ribbon Rocketeer. So and look, I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell you this. I'm excited about the signals that we have, and I want to share it with you, so you're aware. Maybe it makes sense for you now, maybe it doesn't. But the markets are going to go up. If they're ever going to go up higher, it's going to be in the next 2-3 months, and then I think it's danger time, maybe till the end of the year. All right. I want to get through the signals here, and I don't want to miss anything. ERI Pro, we talked about SMA, the rest of these, the Rocket. So the Rocket, let's see if we have any. I think probably what I'm going to do is just show you that here on this page there. So this is let me open that up. This is an example of all the indicators kind of at once, but the Rocket's kind of cool. It's a pattern I've recognized for years, and finally we programmed it using ChatGPT, believe it or not. So do you see this little rocket emoji graphic? This pattern, nobody else talks about this, but it's something I've noticed over the years, and it's usually followed by a rapid increase in price, followed by falling back to earth. So it's a pump, a pre-pump indicator, and what it is, it's a candle like this, where the candle body, the part that's full, sitting on a support level, either a 21 or 50-day EMA, we just talked about that, or a horizontal line. In this case, it was kind of both. It was kind of sitting on this support level here, but mostly on the exponential moving average. The wick, which is that thing here, went down below and came back up. So that's important. It kind of looks like a bottle rocket on the launch pad, which we call it that. It has to have the launch pad, it has to have the wick, so that it looks like you can go light the fuse and shoots up in the sky, runs out of fuel, and falls back down. That's why it's labeled the Rocket. Okay. And so specifically, if we scroll down in the trade success checklist here, you can see if is there a rocket forming at support. A rocket is a green candle with a real body resting at support, as I said. A wick below that closes at or near the top of the day. That's important also. It can't have a topping tail like these. These are not right. And I'll explain the psychology of that in a minute. In case this is all sounding like Hebrew or Chinese or something. I speak neither. So it can be a 21 or 50 EMA trend line or other support. We call it rocket on the launch pad because it usually blasts higher from support. Very important. Okay. Hopefully you guys aren't yawning by now, but this stuff, this can make you real money. These, where was I though? I was on the image of it. And here, okay. So real quick, what's the psychology of it? What that means is, so the day before is kind of irrelevant. What it means is they, at some point in the day, it opened here and closed higher. That's why it's green. But at some point it pushed down. The bears tried to push it down and the bulls recovered it. It went down. It was red at one point. And then it became green and it closed near the top of the day. That means there was buying going straight into the close. Now, crypto never closes. When I say the close, it's 8 p.m. Eastern time and changes with daylight saving time, but that's when they roll over to a new candle on the daily, weekly, monthly, different, in a weekend, a month. Point being, oftentimes in the trading day, the bears, well, the bulls, the day traders will sell off and go flat. So you see these pumps, and then you see the price come off. We call it a wick, a topping tail. And so in the case of the rocket, you don't get that. You see buying right into the close, and that means the bulls are in control, and this is why it pumps. I don't think I've explained it this carefully anywhere before. But I can't say that I invented it because it's just a candle pattern that I recognized and we coded it. But when we see these, they're great. And they work on 1 hour, 4 hour daily. And that's kind of neat, especially when you get an ERI, a buy block, and then a rocket. Then you know it's go time. When do you sell? Bollinger Bands right up here. You can see upper Bollinger Bands. I told you about that. Plus that resistance. So here, hit the upper Bollinger Band, sold off. Down to the lower Bollinger Band, I believe. Didn't quite get there, got to the buy block. But that's where we sell, upper Bollinger Bands and sell blocks. So hopefully this is all making sense. And again, you guys can go back and watch it. We're over 2 hours though. I got to kind of wrap things up or else the recording takes forever. But I think that's about it. We have, so the indicator templates, that's what I was going to show you. And so with that, I'm going to create a template. Here's my Bollinger Bands. I'm going to drag them up onto the chart. Right click, merge into one. Boom. That's forever. That'll save. I'd like to have my signal line in the middle. This is just another oscillator. When it goes green, that's good. Green is good, meaning up. So what I'm going to do now, watch this, click on the 4 squares indicator templates. I'm going to save the indicator template and give it a name. So I'll call this my CM Crypto Mastery Pro. I call this the 4 horsemen sometimes. It's actually with the buy blocks, but it's just a way to remember it. Horsemen and then buy blocks. I don't know, and BB, just to give it a name. I don't need the symbol, don't need the interval, but it's going to save the Bollinger Band, the radar, the rocket, the screener, the EMA ribbon, the SMA, the ERI Pro, the order block detector, the EMA2, the BB, the TSI Pro, signal line, EMA times 2. I don't need the other Bollinger Band though, signal, but anyway, I'm going to save it. That first Bollinger Band I'm going to delete because we put our version on, which is better. Okay. Gotcha. So why is that important? I'll hit save. So if I open up a new chart, a new layout, okay, it's going to be blank. And I can come in here and say, all right, well, I want to load my 4 horsemen layout because there's nothing here. Let me go widescreen. So you call them up here, go in there, say, here's my template, the 4 horsemen, boom, and it just loads it all for you. And that way you can load, that way you could load different layouts over time if you wanted to. The moving averages should be in here somewhere. I think I had them turned off, but you see it's all there, and more than you probably want to see all at once. But okay, so any questions, you guys? I think we are still moving right along. I think, let's see, alerts we covered. These are different templates. Here, there's that 20 daily 4 horsemen. That's an older one I had, so it'll push these templates up in here. That's how you set an alert. Bar replay is cool. I'll show you that. I've already showed you how to set different layouts. Here's the name of this chart here, and actually I don't want to be in this because it's duplicate of my other one, so I'm going to delete that and leave. I'll go back to this chart here. Oops. YouTube. I don't know how to get rid of that. I think that'll go away on its own. Yes, it does. Here also, right. So we're back in business, full screen there. And so over on the right, okay, so very important, I kind of glossed over this, your watch lists. So you can toggle these on and off. This is where you can have multiple watch lists. Here I have my master watch list. I have an inner circle watch list. I have a speculative DGen 2024. I have an AI coins watch list. These are all get access for the private members, etc. Even some individual private clients. So what do? You can create a new list right there. You can import a list. I can, and that's neat because I can actually share my lists with you guys, the private mentors. I can share our lists, and then you would go to import and just import it right into your own. And and then just for a quick look at, you can have sections. I'll show you that in the inner circle watch list. You can see we have it sectioned off. Tier 1 coins, AI, crypto, cloud storage, DPIN, metaverse, transaction speed, and so Say's having a pretty good day. SEI, this one got delisted there. Hyperliquid, so TradeFi, DeFi, GameFi, we have it all segmented. So that's kind of cool, kind of neat, nice to know. But in my main list here, I have it done by indexes and things like tether dominance bouncing, ETH dominance bouncing. Let me just go down the rabbit hole for 1 second here because yeah, that I don't really want to see. Let me turn off the rocket. And so never mind. We are going to move on. Bitcoin. So Solana, just running down the line. Some of these we're watching, lots of sell blocks up above. Markets, they'll run again. ETH is starting to look good again. I thought that we might roll over, but ETH's going to push its way up to like 336.30, the next sell block, I believe. And you can also hide a lot of these menus with these sort of buttons. They make it easy to clear things out. All right, Ondo, so just going down. I'm not going to go into coins. I think really I want to show you the functionality. These are things we cover in our classes and what coins we're watching. So that's the watch list. You can do a new symbol. It used to be you could right-click on the chart and add it to the watch list, but you can't do that anymore. I don't know why. So you have to go over here and say if you want to add something to the watch list, like good old Dogecoin, which is actually the chart was looking pretty good on Doge there. So I'm not a big Doge fan holder. No, but it rejected. Guess where it rejected? Well, where the sellers were. See that? All right. Well, no, so much for Doge. So that's it there. We also have, I can look at these things. This is the master list on a percentage basis. And these are things I can export and share if I want to. Members, I will share those with you at some point. TradingView, these things, we have other chart setups. Oh, that's cool. So there are things and little hot buttons for those that I didn't realize. So daily chart, hash ribbon, look at this. So daily, weekly, monthly, CM Pro layout, daily. Let me find one. Here's my study of $150,000 to $200,000 Bitcoin. Actually, that's an old one, but with the push of a button. All right, I want to save my changes first here. And where did that go? Bitcoin bottom daily, Bitcoin Pi cycle top. I got some cool studies I've been working on. Here, one click of a button. It'll load this study showing the path to 155 to 150, 200K Bitcoin. Look at that. So you can jump back between this pretty soon. I like to use one tab anyway for that and have them loaded. But this is pretty good alternative. And one thing we haven't looked at in a while is the IBIT, the 4-hour IBIT. And yeah, so there's a big CME gap that they're trying to fill on the 4-hour. So we will push higher. These gaps usually fill, and they won't get into why, but let me just see, where did my other chart go that I was just working on? All right, well, no worries. You can always come under here and go into open layout. The Fort chart layout, was that what we were doing? And no, I think I already have that one loaded over here, here, there. This one was a little bit different, so, but excuse me, I think I buggered it. TradingView copy here. TradingView training copy, that's it. And we're back. What? No, I guess not. It's the wrong one. I didn't save it for the right one. TradingView, Trading Doge. Yeah, there we go. So let's see. Any questions, you guys? We are almost done here. I did cover the object tree. What's up in the corner? I don't know. There's some settings. There's another thing. You can, sometimes you have to use that, excuse me, to go sideways on these different things because you have so many controls up top. We have alerts, we have the object tree, so you can hide things and put them back without deleting them. Lastly, but not least, you have the chats where you can chat with other traders. You can chat with, this guy's an ETH whale that I know, so I'm going to hide that. But you can get ideas. I would not get trading ideas in here. Most of these guys are wrong. When you get good, you can sort of share your ideas in here. But it's a huge distraction. They will come and they will come. They'll just distract you all day long, so don't worry about it. Don't do it. Over here, I don't use these often, so there are some screeners, pardon me, you can use. I need a sip of Red Bull here. Chats, Forex, Stocks Indexes, Ethereum. If you're into ETH, you can talk about ETH all day long. I see you guys are dropping like flies. Yeah, we're pretty much done here. There's calendars for economic calendar, earnings, reviews, dividends. Mostly stock stuff. Don't need that. Down here we've got community. This is where you can learn some new ideas. Some of my stuff gets listed here. Kind of upset they hid mine because I was hoping for editor's choice again. But anyway, they've got gold chats. They've got alert. Now here's where you can see people notifications. These are people that started following me. Just a bunch of them just joined, started following me. I guess one of them complained that I was mentioning my other programs, but is what it is. And I think they're a little too sensitive about that stuff. Notifications did that. Okay, guys, I think we're done. There's a help center, but normally what I'm usually doing, again, you want to go and get Opus, not Opus, what's it called? Drawing a blank, one tab, and that way you can have multiple tabs open. Make sure to go check out the cryptomastery.org signals. It'll redirect you here. Read about these. Watch the video at the top. This will give you an edge, and this is the time where you need an edge. You can do monthly, you can do an annual. We had a lifetime, we don't have lifetime anymore. That's the merchants accounts didn't like doing that. But this is about a 20-minute video, 40-minute video on some training, so you can go watch that and learn more about it too. And then the free success checklist, you can get this and download it and use it over and over again. There's some other trade setups that I didn't talk about, like the 3 inside up. Talked about the radar. I didn't show you the dynamic average true range. I knew I forgot something. So over here, love this indicator. It's part of the Pro Pack. So what that looks like is if you come under here under invite only, it is going to, I think that's included. I have to make sure that it is. It is also used as a dynamic stop loss. There it is. And when it switches, though, it'll tell you, are we in entry mode or exit? So right down here, we were going down, flipped to entry, pushed up, had a little bit of a flip over there, entry mode, pushed all the way up here. We've just gone into exit. And again, you can use this as your stop losses, a dynamic stop loss. So if you were long here, as soon as that flipped to exit and price got below it, that's when you would you'd place your stop there. Ostensibly either on a 1 hour or 4 hour. So, all right, you guys, I think we're done here. We've gone 2 hours and 20 minutes. That was pretty long, but that completes our training of how to set up your trading view and how to set up your indicators. You know, you can do, we talked about doing multiple time frames. We talked about how to do these. We talked about how to find out more about the signals there, and then the on that page where it shows the different ones, buy blocks, ERIs, moving averages. You know, I keep it pretty simple, and that's by design. So if that's something you want, if you want to have better success in trading and you know, follow along, of course, the mentoring clients will be covering those in every class, M3 class Wednesdays at noon. Thank you, Stanford. And for those of you that are here that are not in our programs, I see a lot of new names. Find out more at moonstream.io. There's an interactive video. If you're not sure what kind of trader you are, it'll sort of guide you to the right program potentially for you. It's always a never-ending journey to learn more. I've been doing it 25 years, but always the student, never the master. I'm continuing to learning about cycles and other ways to time these markets. But really it comes down to, for us, a lot of now it is buy in green, sell in red. Dogecoin's rolling over here. The sellers are here. We'd like to buy where the buyers are. You know, at our moving averages, not recommending Doge or any of this, but I think, you know, with what did Einstein say? Genius is taking the complicated and making it simple. And you know, my hat's off to Joe, my partner, on the indicators. He is a mad scientist, genius, quant engineer. We're working on some really cool things for the bear market, for using options and vertical spreads, so that you don't have to sell your Bitcoin and take a capital gains. Maybe sell a call spread. You know, options are coming to crypto, and that's going to be really exciting. Imagine, you know, not having to sell everything, but making money on the way down, and you know, not pay that capital gains. So anyway, that's for future. We'll talk about that more. We'll tell you guys more about that. Certainly, you guys get early access if you're in M3 or the mentoring program or Retire Rich. But if you guys are just seeing us for the first time, if this made sense, learn more at moonstream.io. The Moonstream M3 is a live weekly class, daily chat in a signal group, trade picks, coin picks. That might be good for you if you want to get in on some of the market timing and doing what we do here, because we've had some phenomenal results. And you know, nailing Bitcoin, sold Bitcoin at 110K, bought it back on the bounce. Our signals tell us, the signals don't lie. I'll say 100 times, show me the charts, I'll tell you the news. And so we are in price discovery zone, but look, we got overextended. The news, look, the charts tell me we'll come back down around 114K, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, and then we go. But I'll be waiting for my early reversal indicator and maybe a buy block to form up in this top range, just on the weekly time frame. Yeah, it comes back to that vector candle too. You can see it better on the weekly. The midpoint of this, I can just tell you that's where we're going, just under 114K. It'll hit there and bounce. You could put your limit buy orders there. Look, this is not, it's not financial advice. I can say these things one to many. I'm not giving individual financial advice. I'm just saying, based on the charts, what I'm seeing and what I've seen over and over again, that's likely where this thing comes down to. I thought I had added our indicators on here, but we're going to circling the toilet bowl here, in terms of, but here on the 1 day, the midpoint of that candle, there was something else that was pointing to that too, and I think it was the order blocks on one of these, but we don't have time to get into it today. Again, these recordings get so big over 2 hours, it'll take forever to render, and sometimes I don't want it to fail. So that's it for today, guys. I hopefully enjoyed that. I'm done here. Any last minute questions? And I'm going to fire up my other screens over here, just kind of see what's going on in the market. And but I don't see any questions, so guys, we'll go ahead and wrap things up. And I will stop sharing, give you guys a bit of a wave. I hope you enjoyed it, and this will go in the members area for the mentoring students. You guys can always watch this later and review it. All right, cool. Thank you, Stanford, Quark, and everybody else who attended. See you guys in class. Take care. Good luck on the bull run.